everyone. Welcome again to another edition of Where the 99 Leads. I'm Andrew Joyce, your host, and we're joined by a special guest today from the Patton College of Education, the founding dean, Dr. David Barnett, and Coletta Parsley, assistant professor of education at the University of Pikeville. Where the 99 Leads, it's a program brought to you by the University of Pikeville, where we talk the many different programs available at the University of Pikeville. The Patton College of Education, the Coleman College of Business, the undergraduate studies programs, the Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine, new construction going on with the Kentucky College of Optometry, athletics, academics, it all comes together with Where the 99 Leads. Of course, those historic 99 steps that lead to the university campus, but also lead from campus, back into the community, back into Central Appalachia, and back into the world. We're joined by a special guest today as we talk the Patton College of Education. And first, welcome back, Dr. David Barnett. Always a pleasure.
It's great to be here. And you know, as you were talking, I was thinking of the impact that this university has on this area. It's really pretty remarkable.
It is indeed, and continuing to impact every day, every class, every graduate that walks the steps of the night. Does anyone walk the 99 steps these days? I'm not sure.
Occasionally they do, but most take the elevator.
Yeah. There's so many in the years past. That was the only way to travel to the university campus. Today, the elevator, I would imagine, much more utilized. Dr. David Barnett, you're still fairly new.
Yes.
There may be someone that tuned in that is not familiar with your background. Let's talk about a little about your background and your arrival as the founding dean of the Patton College.
Sure. Started in January of this year, of 2015. This is my 41st year in education, having spent 27 years in the public schools. Started out as a middle school teacher, did all of those, many of those things that between the middle school teacher and my last years in the public schools were spent as a school superintendent. After that 27 years, I was at Morehead State University for 13 years, and I kept hearing about all the things that are happening at the University of Pikeville.
Sure.
I'd go to a meeting and people would say, "What's going on at UPike?" And I had students, doctoral students, and other students that lived and worked in this area, and I would say, "What's going on at UPike?" And so I found out that that they were moving from a division of education to a college of education, and then I thought, well, there's one way to find out what's going on at UPike, and that is to become a part of the team. And I was fortunate enough to be hired here in January, and I tell people that I believe I've died and gone to heaven. I enjoy the people, the students, the community. It's a beautiful part of the world. And there are some exciting things going on, not only at UPike, but especially within the Patton College of Education.
41 years in education. You have seen a lot of changes.
I have.
In teaching, in classrooms.
Yes.
And I would imagine students probably not a lot different than they were then, but what are some of the biggest changes you've seen in teaching?
Probably the use of technology, the effective use of technology. But it's interesting. There's a lot of research about the impact that technology does or does not have on student learning. And not surprisingly enough, what the research always goes back to is that the teacher is what really makes the difference. If we have an effective teacher, it doesn't make any difference, and they use the resources effectively. That's what really promotes the student learning. Of course, now with the online learning, we have some students who enjoy that more personalized or one-on-one. Students, of course, are very savvy with technology.
Sure.
You go on campus or you walk downtown and you see people texting, and I do worry sometimes, though we might lose the art of communication, verbal communication. But probably the biggest difference would be the role that technology plays. And the thing that has changed the least is the role that the teacher plays.
Right. Thought it was interesting that you immediately said technology and very quickly added effective use of technology, because technology, not necessarily by itself, is a great thing.
Right. My first day as superintendent of schools was in July 1 of 1990, the day the CARA went into effect.
Sure.
And of course, it was a really interesting time in education in Kentucky at that point. But since July 1 of 1990, we've probably spent more than $1 billion for technology. That was with a B, and I don't have statistics to back that up, but we've spent a ton of money.
Sure.
And I'm not sure that we've gotten that much additional learning as a result of that. Again, it is the effective use of technology. It's the effective use of textbooks or the effective use of lab equipment. You can get someone the best equipment, the best resources, but if they are not skilled in using those, then it's really a waste of your money. But when they are skilled, it's a magical kind of thing.
Difference makers.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
They stand at the front of classrooms across our region and across the Commonwealth. We know that, and those are truly difference makers. Those teachers that are effective and find ways to get to each and every student who may have different styles of learning.
Right. One of the things that I've done since, well, I did some before coming to Pikeville, but I've done even more since being here, and that is I'm on a number of accreditation visits at the P12 level. And last year I was in 5 different states doing accreditation visits, and so I was in classrooms all across really this part of the country. There was good teaching, don't misunderstand, but I would put our teachers up against any teacher anywhere by the way that they're able to connect with students and to get the students engaged and really interested in learning.
Coletta Parsley also joins us, Assistant Professor of Education at the University of Pikeville, a familiar name to those throughout the area. She has been in the classroom throughout the school systems and new to the University of Pikeville. Coletta, let's talk a little about your background and how you arrived at UPike.
Well, I taught 15 years at the middle level in Pike County and became an administrator for 9 years, assistant principal and principal. And I moved to Kentucky Department of Education. I worked with low performing schools. The last 3 years I worked with their staff and principals. I was at 2 high schools. And we were very proud. The last high school I worked with became a Kentucky hub school. And they were a model of best practices for other schools to visit. But this is my 28th year in education, not as many as Dr. Barnett. I retired, and I'm just so thankful to have the opportunity to be at the University of Pikeville.
And now teaching future teachers.
Future teachers and future teacher leaders.
Yes.
Yes.
And we'll talk about that. Those outside the world of education, you'll find out what teacher leaders are all about as we go through the course of this program. Of course, we talk about the Patton College of Education. Newly founded, we think a tremendous name for the College of Education at the University of Pikeville. Governor Paul Patton, of course, Chancellor, interim president at UPike currently, but known as the education governor. Right. During his 2 terms in office in Frankfort. The Patton College of Education has now added the master's degree program. Dr. Barnett, tell us about the Teacher Leader program.
We are really excited about adding the Masters of Teacher Leader Masters to our program. Started actually this summer and really full force this fall. And a few years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago, the Kentucky Education Professional Standards Board told universities across the state that they wanted all the universities to review their master's programs in education and resubmit new programs. There used to be a master's in elementary education and a master's in secondary and a master's in lots of different areas, and so now it's all combined into the Teacher Leader Masters. At that point, the University of Pikeville did not have a graduate program, but a couple of years ago did submit a proposal to the Education Professional Standards Board. It was approved, and so we worked pretty diligently this summer getting cohorts from in different districts. And a cohort would be just a group of people who are experiencing the program in the same location at the same time. So we have a cohort in Carter County, a cohort in Perry County, a cohort in Floyd County, and actually 2 cohorts here in Pikeville. One of the cohorts that we have here in Pikeville, we've entered into a collaborative agreement with Morehead State University, and so we have an MSU UPike cohort that's really focusing on national board certification, national teacher board certification, and then we have another cohort here in Park County that is more traditional, and so we're pretty excited that we have students from all those counties involved, and in fact, some of the counties, like in Perry County, I think that they have maybe a couple of students from Knott, and so once again, not only is the University of Pikeville impacting the undergraduate or the aspiring teachers, but also the in-service teachers, those who are on the front line, and I'm sure we'll probably have a program sometime in the future about the master's or perhaps the educational specialist degree in school administration that we really hope to get into play. And Coletta's leading the charge on that, having served as a successful assistant principal and principal for a number of years, and then the educational recovery specialist. And sometimes we just kind of have to take our breath and think of all the things that are going on. But again, the Teacher Leader Program is a program for in-service teachers. And one of the things that we've really tried to make a conscious effort to do is to make it as practical as possible for all teachers in Kentucky. They have to have 24 hours, clock hours of professional development every year. And so they're doing a lot of good things in their schools. They might be being trained on how to disaggregate data, or how to teacher evaluation is a new issue there, especially the new plan. And so we see all these good things that are happening in the districts, and then we see all these things happening in graduate classes. And so we're starting to ask, why don't we meld those two things together? Because people are so busy, and why don't we honor and respect the good professional development that's going on and make those activities a part of a graduate course? And so we think that value that we've added to the program, where teachers realize that, okay, it's not my professional development and then my academic graduate course, it's my professional development and graduate courses are one and the same. So we're excited about that.
Dr. David Barnett, founding dean of the Patton College of Education, on this edition of Where the 99 Leads. Coletta Parsley, assistant professor of education, with us also. And Dr. Barnett, you mentioned the master's program, the Teacher Leader Program. It's taught in cohorts, different locations that they will come together. How long will it take the students to finish the program?
Typically takes 2 to 2.5 years. Students usually take about 6 hours per semester, and some of the cohorts are designed to take courses during the summer, and if they do, then they can finish it in 2 years, and if they don't, then it does go into that 3rd year. But it's a 31-hour program, and about 2 years, 2.5 years.
Very good. Coletta, how's it different teaching adult learners and working professionals compared with teaching traditional undergraduate students?
Well, in my opinion, I think it's the knowledge base and the prior experiences that they bring to the table.
Sure.
I think that our undergraduate students are building that knowledge base.
Right.
They haven't been in the classrooms. They've had their field experiences, some of them as they go along the way. But it's up to us to design those experiences to help them build the knowledge base to become successful teachers. And with graduate students, they bring a broad knowledge base to the table. And as a teacher, I think it's my job to bring about those collaborative experiences and opportunities for them to construct new knowledge based on their collective experiences and research-based practices. So there is a difference there. We want our teacher leaders to be knowledgeable and influential leaders in their schools. And so that's our goal.
Traditional undergraduate students in the field of education, no matter how wonderful the field is, they get a look at the classroom. They've been in the classroom as a student,
Yes.
but they've never led a classroom at that point. How tough is it that first day that a new teacher walks into a classroom and it's their classroom?
It is tough, and that's why we attempt to provide those clinical experiences where, they have a year of clinical experience at UPike to where they're in the classrooms and they're with the teacher so that they can see what that is, when they start their own career, it's not a total new thing to them.
Sure. And student teachers, I think we've all had them, and it is a great experience for them to get that real world experience. We're talking the Patton College of Education, also the education studies for undergrad students at the University of Pikeville. Coletta Parsley, you've worked with several educational co-ops, KVEC, Kentucky Valley Educational Cooperative. Tell us about that.
Yes, KVEC is one of several cooperatives across the state of Kentucky. They're in different regions, and they are true partners with our schools and districts. They provide a network of educational support. They are even the purchasing agent for some of our schools and districts. So the schools that are the schools and districts that are members of KVEC, there are so many services going on there. Teacher training, professional development, leadership training, online resources, learning networks, so that this gives me an opportunity through my participation with KVEC, gives me an opportunity, an avenue of collaboration with our schools and districts.
Right.
As a university, we have to know what's going on in our schools and districts if we are going to prepare our teachers to take positions in those schools. I'm also, Dr. Barnett and I both are engaged in a rural education initiative. A few weeks ago at KVEC, there was a gathering of rural education practitioners from Eastern Kentucky and from different states. And we even had the president of the National Rural Education Association there.
Sure.
And the purpose was to look at the challenges of rural education and to begin developing strategies to address those challenges. A couple of things that I took away from the meeting that we had was a lot of the same things occur, similar things across our nation in different parts, in different states. We see the similar problems in rural education.
Right.
And that everyone that participated left there inspired to go back and to work to provide a first-rate education for the students they serve. The work will continue. There are plans to continue the work. And anyone who's interested can follow the work by joining a social network that's called The Holler. And it's at www.theholler.org.
Very good. You talk about issues related to rural education. Briefly, what are some of the main issues that rural education faces that many other areas may not face?
Well, one thing that we identified that really we are interested in is teacher preparation, to prepare teachers for jobs in rural communities, in rural schools, that they are aware of the advantages. We think there are many advantages to being in rural areas.
Sure.
Research has shown, attendance is higher. There's better teacher-student relationships, more community involvement.
Right.
Those are things that we have to make sure that our future teachers are aware of, and how to build those relationships within the communities, that they respect place. And we want to make sure that we prepare our teachers to take jobs in rural areas and to be skilled at knowing what those advantages are, but to give them the knowledge base with technology now. We can overcome so many of the challenges that we've had before in offering advanced courses. So that's
offering
there.
the same opportunities regardless.
That's exactly right.
Dr. Barnett, you recently spoke to a group of students with the Pritchard Committee for Academic Excellence. What do you tell parents about their role in their child's education?
Well, I remind them that they are the first teachers of their children, and the importance of being a good role model, the importance of being involved in their children's education, and when they leave elementary school, they're still their child is still their child, and so they need to follow them to the middle school and the high school, and even though sometimes older students would prefer, mom and dad just stay home, I can handle this.
Sure.
They really do need to stay involved and work jointly with the school system. One of the things that I said to them was that the Patton College of Education, in 5 years, we intend to be one of the top education programs in the country, and we cannot do that without good partners, and it starts with the parents. The peer influence certainly is important, but and as parents, we all bring different knowledge and skills based upon our own past experiences, and so not only do I tell parents about the importance of their involvement in the schools, but I also remind our principals and our teachers of the importance of parents, and that sometimes walking into a school can be a uncomfortable sort of experience, and that we need to try to help parents to feel welcome in the schools. When I walk into an attorney's office, for example, that's something new for me, and so it's I don't feel unwelcome, but it's a new experience. Or pick any other kind of business that I'm not in very often. And so when parents come into the schools, we need to really make a concerted effort to invite them into the schools, not just when there's a problem or a challenge, but to invite them into the schools to see the good things that their students are doing as well. So I re-emphasized over and over the role that they had, and really the need to reach out to the schools and not be afraid to ask questions.
UPike recently joined a national initiative. It's called Future Ready.
Yes.
What's that all about?
Well, I can tell you that we're really excited about it. The Future Ready initiative is really started out at the federal level, and it was an initiative for our P-12 schools to help ensure that the students that they were teaching were ready to face and to occupy jobs in the 21st century. And it includes a close look at technology, but it's not all technology. There are many other what some people call soft skills that are very important. Being able to collaborate with someone, or to work into groups, or to be a critical thinker or a problem solver. And so when I started hearing all about these schools all around us that have signed the Future Ready Pledge, and I looked at our role, the Patton College of Education, that we are preparing teachers and future teachers and in-service teachers who are working in these schools that are gearing up to be future ready. And so I ask myself the question, why aren't we a member or intimately involved in that initiative? So we did some phone calls and talked with some of the folks in Washington, D.C. and found out that we and a university in Pennsylvania both were talking about joining the initiative, the Future Ready initiative. But I am proud to say that the University of Pikeville is the first university in the nation to sign the pledge. And so what that means for us is that we are looking at how we deliver instruction. We're looking at the technology that we have. We're looking at the 21st century skills that are important. And so we're really looking at all aspects of what we do and how we do that. We've tied in rural education, and we've really focused on that. And so how can we use the technology, the Future Ready initiative, to provide a support for the rural initiative that we have? And we see those really working hand in glove, because at one time, if you lived in Pikeville or some other rural community, it was hard to visit a museum or to see a rocket launch or to have all these other experiences. And now we have not only the experiences that they have, but we go way beyond the kinds of opportunities that we have when we look at what's happening in urban and suburban schools. Future Ready means that we're preparing students to be ready for the future.
Indeed, and a tremendous initiative to be a part of. Dr. Barnett, the University of Pikeville also is accepting nominations now for this year's Distinguished Educators Hall of Fame. So many are already a part of that Hall of Fame, which began in 2010. Educators that made a difference, administrators that made a difference in so many lives. And again, accepting nominations for this year's honors. Who can be nominated? What's the focus?
Yes. Well, this year's focus is actually on current educators. Now, any educator can be nominated, so I want to make that very clear that that's a possibility. But we're really focusing on current educators, current teachers. And so I would encourage anyone watching this show, students or parents, if they have a favorite teacher, to get on UPike's website, www.upike.edu, and fill out a nomination form. It's a very simple form. It won't take a long time. All nomination forms have to be completed, submitted by October the 1st, and
right.
So a couple of weeks from now. But teachers really do shape the future, and sometimes we don't stop often enough and to say thank you. And what a great way this would be to nominate one of your favorite teachers for this award. It's a great way to say thank you.
Yeah. Go online, upike.edu. You'll find a lot of information there as well. Dr. David Barnett, our pleasure once again to have you on the show. And Coletta Parsley, welcome to UPike.
Thank you.
So glad to have you. We'll talk education again real soon, I'm sure. You've been tuned to Where the 99 Leads, a program brought to you by the University of Pikeville, the leading university of Central Appalachia. Thanks for tuning in.